From WNIJ Studios on the campus of Northern Illinois University, this is Sessions from Studio A. I'm Spencer Tritt, your host. Fareed Haque's latest album, Kozol, is a reimagining of works by Haitian-American composer Frans Kozol. In this hour, we'll hear Fareed Haque playing music from that new album live in Studio A, along with special guest Paul Wertico, longtime drummer and 7-time Grammy winner for the Pat Metheny Group, sitting in on drums this week. Stay tuned for a fantastic performance recorded live in WNIJ's Studio A and my talk with Fareed Haque and Paul Wertico. It's coming up this hour right after these headlines from NPR on a brand new Sessions from Studio A. Welcome to Sessions from Studio A on WNIJ. I'm Spencer Tritt, and we have a great show for you this week with guitar virtuoso Fareed Haque. We'll hear him playing music from his new album, Kozol. It's a reimagining of works by Haitian-American composer Frans Kozol. Also joining him this week is Paul Wertico, 7-time Grammy winner and longtime drummer for the Pat Metheny Group. We'll talk with both of them, and they'll introduce us to the rest of the lineup in just a moment. But first, let's get into the music. This first one is Simbi, off of that new album, Kozol. It's Fareed Haque on Sessions from Studio A. This is Sessions from Studio A, and you just heard Fareed Haque and the band playing live in the studio. And I'm here with Fareed and also Paul Wertico joining us as well on drums today. Thank you both so much for coming out to DeKalb and playing for us. Fareed, welcome back to DeKalb, your old stomping ground here.
It's something.
Can you introduce the rest of the lineup joining you both today?
Sure. Keyboards and piano is Kevin Kozol, fantastic pianist who is living now in the Detroit area, and also leads a cool, funky group called Spare Parts. On bass, has been with me for 20 years now, from NIU actually, Alex Austin. And another NIU, graduate, and he was part-time faculty last year, is Juan Pastor, fantastic Peruvian percussionist, composer. He has his own group Chinchano that's doing great things. And, of course, my rhythm buddy, Paul Wertico, on the drums.
Yes.
The new album is Caseus.
Right.
Tell us about the new record.
Well, folks may know or may not know that I taught here at NIU for, 30 years. And I go off on tours and come back and then teach. And one time I came back and there was a package on my mailbox from Mark Ribot. He's a wonderful New York avant-garde, kind of jazz, New York loft scene kind of guitar player, really cool. And apparently his teacher had been this Haitian guitarist, Franz Caseus. And so he sent me a whole package of handwritten manuscripts by Caseus. I said, you should check this out. Someone who plays classical but also plays jazz could bring this music to life, and I checked it out, and it was really interesting stuff. And I started playing it with the band, and it really took off. Now, Franz Caseus was a Haitian guitarist and composer from the 50s and 60s, and eventually got the gig playing guitar with Harry Belafonte, which is a pretty big gig at the time, And but he wrote all this really cool music for voice and guitar and for one guitar, two guitars, that was kind of forgotten. I think at the time, the only record company that recorded him was Smithsonian Folkways, right? That tells you something about the cultural and racial divisions of the time, where if there's a black, Haitian, French composer, that has to be folk music. Can't be serious classical music, right? And I think Mark was trying to say, hey, this is the real deal. This, and elevate that, and I certainly found it to be so. So we recorded the whole album of his music with my band, and Paul's on the record, and it's just a very, very cool record, a very different sound.
Yeah, it's totally unique, sort of blend of all kinds of different styles and genres, it seems like.
Yeah, the one piece that we had Paul guest on was called The Dance of the Hunzis, which is the dance of the voodoo priestesses. And it's very, I first started playing this piece for my kids in my practice room. My kids, they hear guitar all day long. They could care, And I started playing this do-do, dee-dee, dee-dee, and both kids came in. My boys started dancing, and they were just like in the zone. And it's a powerful rhythm. And so I really thought that, Paul could expand on that and take it to its natural place,
Well, that's one of the things. I'm really honored to be on that record, for one thing. It is a really great record. And that's one reason I love playing with Fareed is, for one thing, he's just monstrous on the guitar, but also as a composer, but as a musician, but also as a conceptualist. So he plays all different types of music. So on this record, we were talking, it's Haitian music, but we're not playing it in a traditional way. Right. We're playing it in a modern style, but with everyone's personalities coming forth to put on their own stamp on this kind of music. And really, that's, in many ways, that's what contemporary music is. And that's even what jazz is. Dizzy Gillespie or somebody said, jazz is not music. It's a way of life. And that's what it is. It's a way of improvising and just and playing off a theme,
Yeah. And I feel, to just expand on that, one of my convictions has been that jazz is kind of like a virus. It's kind of like, it's a way of thinking about the world, and that attitude, that jazz approach, has started to expand to all different kinds of music. You hear it in R&B and hip hop. Questlove and all these folks have a looser, more organic approach, and then in Indian music, the jazz approach in South America. Jazz has covered Brazil and all of Latin America. Jazz is now in China and India. In Spain, people writing Spanish music but as jazz, or Russian music as jazz. You know what I mean? Or it's just and so that I think it's important that even though the roots of jazz are in Louisiana and in a mixture of African American and European American culture, still that approach is extended to the whole world, and is, I think, eventually going to be, especially with the coming of AI, people are going to start to say, hey, this personal stamp on what you do is much more meaningful.
The other thing with this too is that, if we are putting a stamp of quote unquote jazz on this, this stuff does not have to be that tight, because if you listen to jazz, you're supposed to make the stuff you've never played sound like you've played a million times, and the stuff you play a million times sound like you're inventing it. So the idea is like not catching everything. This isn't like commercial jingle jazz where you go in the studio and everything's got, you got to catch everything and no loose ends. This music, it stops and starts. Sometimes, somebody might just want to like go over it a little bit or just, and that way every time you play it, it's different because it's a personal experience in real time. That's what improvisation is, living in the moment. And that's why I love playing with Fareed. I mean, he's the perfect combination of all those things that you need to know, the theory, the virtuosity, all that, but yet the spirit of an adventurer.
Well, and thank you, brother. The thing, though, playing with Paul, your years with Pat Metheny, so much time spent with texture and color, right? But also, coming from Chicago's just got roots.
Yeah.
And so you got these blues, R&B roots. So when Paul's playing a funk, or we play a couple of funk tunes, I think, right? And when it's laying down in that way, it has a certain looseness.
I'm fascinated by this concept of structure, but also keeping it loose. And I'm wondering, when you were arranging these and you got the original, handwritten manuscripts, what was that arranging process like? Were you trying to keep an essence of the tune? Were you ever worried about going too far? Did I do too much, make it too different?
Right.
Tell us what's that like when you're arranging a piece of music like this?
I think it's a great question, and I think in any arranging process you kind of have to, with a certain amount of respect for the music and the composer, kind of figure out where they're coming from. Someone like, as a bizarre random example, there's a great Japanese composer named Toru Takemitsu, and he writes everything in the score. You move your finger to this side of the soundboard to play this note, play this harmonic. Everything is dynamics. It's black with notations and stuff. So that's not a music that you're going to take and rearrange.
Right.
Franz Caseus had arranged his own pieces for many contexts. One of the pieces that we play, he actually rearranged for Harry Belafonte, who made a hit out of it. It had words to it, and it was like a Haitian folk song that he made into a hit. So I was comfortable with the fact that Caseus himself was an arranger. I was comfortable with moving this music into different contexts. And being that he was Harry Belafonte's guitar player in a band with bass, drums, percussion, piano, keyboards, he was used to playing in a rhythm section. So that concept wasn't alien to him either. And so I could see that there were certain things that I was playing where the thumb of the guitar was playing a bass line. So I would just say, well, let's take that to the bass. And sometimes it wasn't played all the way because you had to drop the bass line to play the melody on classical guitar. You kind of have to borrow from Peter to pay Paul. But, with the band, you didn't have to do that, The other thing I should say, though, is for the most part, I'm playing the pieces straight as classical pieces. So I'm playing what he wrote. When I play the melody, for the most part, I'm actually playing the classical piece that he wrote.
So you're following, his notation
his score. Occasional minor things I might, edit, but for the most part, it's what he wrote. So that means I got to play classical guitar and then on an electric guitar and then switch to an electric approach. But the music is so well constructed that it works really well. I mean, I didn't have to do that much except imagine.
You're hearing from my talk with guitarist Fareed Haque and drummer Paul Wertico on Sessions from Studio A. We'll be right back after the short break with more music from their live performance in Studio A. Find Fareed Haque's new record, Kozol, out now on Bandcamp and on his website, fareed.com. We'll be right back with more music on Sessions from Studio A. Welcome back to Sessions from Studio A, with music and conversation this hour with guitarist Fareed Haque. Taking us back to his new record, Kozol, this next one is titled Rara. It's Fareed Haque reimagining the music of Franz Kozol this hour on Sessions from Studio A. Fareed Haque with Dance of the Hoonsies, recorded live on Sessions from Studio A. That one is off of his new album, Kozol, and it features Paul Wertico on the drums. You can find that new album out on Bandcamp and on Fareed's website, fareed.com. Stay tuned for more from my talk with Fareed Haque and Paul Wertico, and we'll have more music coming up after the short break on Sessions from Studio A. Welcome back to Sessions from Studio A with guitarist Fareed Haque. In just a moment, we'll get back into the music with an older, funkier number from him, but first, let's hear again from my conversation with Fareed Haque and drummer Paul Wertico on Sessions from Studio A. Tell people where they can pick up a copy of the new album and keep up with you.
Sure. Fareed.com, home of all things Fareed. You know, you can get an album there, or you can get one at Bandcamp. I think we're not doing iTunes. We were just doing Bandcamp for now. And of course, we have vinyl that's not quite. We just got them, so we sold them this weekend at the Green Mill, and we're just about to get those shipping. So if people want that, they can reach out also through Bandcamp or through my website. And the art was done by a wonderful artist from Haiti who lives in Brussels named Sergine Andre.
That's a cool tie-in to the the Haitian background of the music too, and to have the cover art
For sure.
done by an artist from Haiti. That's very cool. And Paul, anything you'd like to plug here? Can we get your website and everything?
People can just go to paulwertico.com. I have a new album with the sax player from Supertramp that did all those great records, John Hellowell, so it's called the Paul Wertico John Hellowell Project. I have a trio here, a guitar trio with John Mulder and Larry, but I also have an Italian trio with Fabrizio Moccata and Gianmarco Scali on bass. And there's a cool thing. I just found this out today. I've been waiting for this. I did an album last year where I played with a percussion ensemble in Italy. And I actually improvised over a John Cage piece. I had never heard it before, And it's called Paul Wertico's Drums Without Boundaries. And I should have it in the mail probably either this week or next week. And so that's on a label. It's on Da Vinci Classics. So they're out of, it's an Italian label based in Japan, and they do a lot of classical music and stuff as well. So I'm improvising with percussion ensembles too.
Wow.
It's so fun because I'm 70 and I'm having just as much fun, if not more fun. And I think I'm playing better than ever. I stay in shape. And then, everybody's playing better than ever. Everyone's kind of,
he's my hero. He's my health hero.
Oh, man. No, it's like those kind of things where, people slow down, but you don't have to slow down. You just have to stay on top of it and then, keep your brain alive, keep your body in good shape, and then play with great players that inspire you. And nowadays, almost everybody I'm playing with is younger than me, which is really funny. You think about Art Blake and all those guys, they all kind of played with younger players as they went through stuff. Sure. I'm kind of at that age now, but I still feel like I'm 18, so it's kind of crazy.
Fantastic. Well, Fareed Haque and Paul Wertico, thank you both so much for coming out and talking with us today and playing for us in Studio A. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thanks, Spencer.
Fareed Haque, closing out our show this week with Lab Rat, recorded live in WNIJ's Studio A. Thanks so much for joining us for the music here on Sessions from Studio A. The lineup for this week's show is Fareed Haque playing guitar, Kevin Kozol on piano, Alex Austin on bass, Juan Pastor on percussion, and Paul Wertico playing drums. You can find Fareed Haque's latest album, Kozol, out on Fareed.com and over on his Bandcamp page, available for purchase. Also, be sure to check out Paul Wertico's new album, Drums Without Boundaries, out now streaming everywhere and on paulwertico.com. There's some absolutely incredible and undefinable playing on that one. As the name implies, it defies all boundaries, genres, or styles. Also, head over to WNIJ.org to find behind-the-scenes video of their live set in Studio A and this full episode. Sessions from Studio A is produced at WNIJ Studios by yours truly and Mike Lundgren. I'm Spencer Tritt, and thanks so much for joining me this week on Sessions from Studio A.